Have you ever heard the phrase, "she is so confusing"? Or how about, "she is impossible to understand"? Well, it's because we are, and if you don't believe me, let me give you a few quick examples on the difference of our word definition alone. Fine. This is a word a woman will use to end an argument when she is right and you need to shut up. Nothing. This is the calm before the storm. Nothing means something and you should probably be on your toes. Arguments that begin with nothing will usually end in fine. Go ahead. This is a dare, not permission, so don't do it. And don't worry about it, I got it. This is yet another loaded statement, meaning she has told you to do something several times, but is now doing it herself. This will later result in a man asking, "What's wrong?" For the woman's response, refer to number 2. When it comes to the difference between men and women, we take the cake for confusing and difficult, undecided, bad driving, and probably many other things. But why? It's because our brains work completely different than a man's. Today we're going to discuss the stereotypes of women and what science says, how our brains work, and what we can do to better understand why we are the way we are. Women love to talk. Let's take 2 different situations to better explain what I'm talking about. A woman will call her girlfriend to hang out. Hanging out to us means talking. We're going to call each other. We're going to say, "Let's get some drinks." We'll probably catch up on the phone. We'll get together, grab our drinks, talk a little bit more, go home, call each other, say thanks for a great night, and talk a little bit more. Then a guy will call his buddy to hang out, and they don't talk. They go fishing or do something weird like hunting. And if you've ever been hunting before, you don't say a word. Women like to talk. We like to talk about our feelings, and we thrive on communication. And you ever want to drive a woman insane? Just ignore her. Men tend to bottle things up. Science says that they don't find it necessary to talk things out because they have a sense of dominance in controlling their own situations. But according to ARC neural and language-associated cortical regions, the area of the brain that is responsible for language is 17% larger in women than it is in men. The second stereotype I thought was important to cover was the parking and driving stereotype. Women can't park or drive if it saved their lives. One thing a blind person and a woman have in common is their ability to park and navigate. And according to Sarah Ratford in her article, "Women and Gay Men Are the Worst Drivers," studies have shown that heterosexual men are actually naturally better at navigating north, south, east, and west. But why is that? Well, because before mom and pop shops and produce stores, the men had to hunt, which means they had to find their way around. And scientists actually believe that testosterone helps in a male's ability to navigate. But most say it's really just because our brains work differently. And according to Andrea Thompson in LiveScience.com, a new study finds that men have more synapses connecting the cells in particular parts of the brain than women do. What does that even mean? Layman's terms, it means that men actually excel at different cognitive functions, while women are better at verbal memory and fluency. And as I can say this, I can see the men's heads in here getting bigger. But let me just reassure you guys that it has nothing to do with general smarts. According to Amber Hensley, mastersofhealthcare.com, it has been proven that men tend to process things generally on the left hemisphere of the brain, while women process things on the right side, thus explaining why men are more problem-solution driven and women focus on creativity and feelings. Structurally speaking, the difference in the way men and women organize thoughts and events and emotions is drastic. And upon my research of this study, I came across this national marriage speaker named Mark Grunger, and I'd have to say he's an absolute genius in the way he describes the difference between men and women's brains, and I promise I will try not to butcher it. According to Mark, women's brains are a lot like a ball of wire, and everything is connected to everything. Your job is connected to your house is connected to your car is connected to how you're going to get your kids to school, and everything is one jumbled mess of wires. But men, on the other hand, their brains are a lot like boxes. And there's a box for the house, and there's a box for the car, and a box for the wife, and a box for the kids. But none of these boxes touch. When a man goes to talk about a particular subject, he opens up that box, takes out everything he can in that box to talk about, and once he's done, he puts it all back, gently places it back where he found it. But then Mark talks about the nothing box. And ladies, let me tell you, this is the box that we all need to know about. It's our Pandora's box for men. This is the box held responsible for a man's ability to do something completely brain dead on hour's end. For example, Have you ever tried to ask a man to do something while he's watching TV or flipping through the channels? You're not going to get an answer. According to the study done at University of Pennsylvania, men have the ability to think about absolutely nothing and still breathe. Women don't have a nothing box, which means we can't appreciate it, and nothing irritates a woman more than seeing a man do nothing. When a man and a woman get in a fight, a man tends to resort to this box quite often, and that's because that's how they handle stress. They just don't talk about it. Women, we have to talk about things, and it's how we figure things out. We talk. Speaking of talking it out, let's talk about the solutions to these stereotypes that we have. The solution is plain and simple, and it takes no time or effort on your part, just the understanding of something that's completely different. My point here today was to prove to you that due to stereotypes, women have been undermined for years. But it's really not due to our constant chatter or poor driving habits. So the next time you find yourself frustrated or angry with us because of how confusing we might be, just understand and be patient. It's because we're different. So today we have covered the women's stereotypes and what science says, the difference between how our brains are wired, and what we can do to solve the problem. So would it be ironic to ask if I have made myself clear?